The arena fell into a thick blanket of tension as Isaac Pitbull Cruz and Thomas Mattice stepped into the ring, each carrying an energy that made even the commentators pause mid-sentence. Mexican pride roared on one side, American determination on the other. And in the center of it all stood two fighters, staring into each other's eyes, as if reading hidden intentions. Cruz's face was expressionless, cold, predatory, terrifyingly calm. Mattice stood opposite him, shoulders squared, chin tucked, eyes sharp with the confidence of a man who believed he had the tools to tame chaos. The referee's instructions seemed to fade into the background as the arena's electricity grew unbearable. The moment the bell rang, Mattice shocked everyone by stepping forward with a crisp jab that snapped Cruz's head back. Gasps erupted from the audience, but Cruz didn't flinch. Instead, a slow, unsettling smile grew across his face. And then, without warning, he launched forward like a bull charging through a gate. The sound of leather smashing against guard echoed through the arena as Cruz forced Mattice backward with a violent flurry of hooks. Mattice tried to respond with quick counters, pivoting sharply, but Cruz's pressure was overwhelming, suffocating, relentless. Every second that passed revealed more of Cruz's raw ferocity and more of Matisse's desperate attempts to regain control. The ring suddenly felt too small for the two of them. Matisse's breathing grew heavier as he survived the first storm, retreating to his corner as the bell rang, his chest rising fast, his eyes wide with realization. Across the ring, Cruz calmly sat down, barely sweating, his expression saying one chilling thing: this was only the warm-up. The second round exploded before anyone could settle back into their seats. Mattice tried to reset, circling quickly on his toes, jabbing to maintain distance, but Cruz marched toward him with a kind of controlled aggression that could freeze the blood of any opponent. Every step Cruz took squeezed the ring smaller. Every slip of his head brought him closer, and every flare of his nostrils promised violence. Mattice fired a rapid 1-2, connecting cleanly, but Cruz walked straight through it, slamming a left hook to the ribs that forced Mattice to grit his teeth. Cruz cornered him again, fists flying like iron hammers, and the crowd roared as the blows echoed like thunder. Mattice managed to escape along the ropes, landing a solid counter right that jolted Cruz's head back once more. But Cruz didn't blink. If anything, he accelerated. Sweat sprayed across the canvas as Cruz launched uppercuts and looping hooks that forced Mattice into survival mode. Still, Mattice showed courage, firing counters whenever he found the slightest opening. Mid-round, he caught Cruz with a picture-perfect left hook that stunned the Mexican slugger for a split second, the crowd rising in shock. But before Mattice could capitalize, Cruz retaliated with a monstrous overhand right that sent a tremor through the entire arena. Mattice stumbled backward, eyes dazed, legs unsteady, and for a heartbeat the audience held its breath, waiting to see if he would fall. Somehow, he remained upright, blinking rapidly, trying to restore his balance. Cruz stepped forward, fists raised, ready to finish the job, but the bell saved Mattice by a second. As he walked to his stool, his legs felt heavy, his breathing sharp. Cruz, meanwhile, looked hungrier than before and far from satisfied. When the third round began, it was clear Mattice had entered a new phase of the fight, one where survival was no longer a strategy but a necessity. Cruz rushed out with a terrifying energy, cutting off Mattice's escape routes with impeccable footwork, cornering him again and again with relentless pressure. Mattice threw flurries of jabs and crosses, trying to keep Cruz at bay, but Cruz absorbed them like fire feeding on oxygen. The Mexican powerhouse dug vicious body shots that forced Mattice's arms to drop just enough for him to slip in uppercuts that snapped his head upward. The crowd roared with every blow, sensing the momentum shifting more violently with each second. Mattice tried to clinch, trying to buy time, trying to breathe, but Cruz ripped his arms free and kept punching. Short, savage hooks bouncing off Mattice's guard, each one stealing a little more of his strength. Still, Mattice fought on, firing crisp counterpunches whenever Cruz leaned too far forward, showing the heart of a warrior refusing to drown in a rising tide. Midway through the round, Mattice rallied with a sudden burst, landing a sharp combination that pushed Cruz off him for the first time. The crowd erupted in disbelief, but the celebration was short-lived. Cruz's eyes flared with fury, and he stormed back with an explosion of punches that rocked Mattice from one side of the ring to the other. Every second felt like a cliff-edge moment, Mattice struggling to stay upright, Cruz growing more vicious, more relentless, more determined to break him. When the bell finally rang, Mattice staggered toward his corner, chest heaving, arms trembling. Across the ring, Cruz didn't look like a man in a fight. He looked like a man hunting. Now the fight had transformed from a technical contest into a full-blown war. The fourth round opened with Mattice trying desperately to reclaim control. Flicking out jabs, circling wide, feinting, clinching, anything to slow the beast in front of him. But Cruz sensed the weakening legs, the slowing reactions, the fear hidden behind Mattice's determination. And he attacked it without mercy. Cruz ripped a brutal left hook into Mattice's ribs, forcing him to bend. Then a massive right hand crashed against his temple, sending him stumbling sideways. The crowd gasped as Mattice's legs betrayed him, wobbling under the weight of Cruz's assault. Yet somehow, Mattice fired back, landing a counter uppercut that stopped Cruz for a moment, a punch thrown from instinct and heart alone. But Cruz shook it off quickly and resumed the attack. He cornered Mattice again, unleashing combinations that made the audience rise to their feet. Sweat and spit flew with every impact. Matisse's vision blurred as he tried to escape, tried to clinch, tried to breathe. But Cruz gave him no space. Every time Mattice lifted his guard, Cruz dug into the body. Every time he lowered it, Cruz targeted the head. The referee hovered closely now, unsure how much longer Mattice could keep absorbing the punishment. The round became a cycle of Mattice firing back with heart and Cruz crushing him with power. When the bell rang, Mattice nearly collapsed into his stool, his chest burning, ribs aching, legs shaking. Cruz walked to his corner slow, calm, confident, like a man who knew the end was near. The final round felt less like a fight and more like a countdown to something inevitable. Mattice stepped out of his corner bravely, but his legs were unsteady, his breathing sharp, his arms sluggish from absorbing round after round of punishment. Cruz, sensing the end with predatory instincts, marched forward with his chin tucked, gloves high, ready to close the show. Mattice threw a few desperate jabs, but they had lost their snap. Cruz slipped inside effortlessly and hammered a right hook into Mattice's jaw that nearly buckled his knees. The crowd erupted as Mattice staggered back, barely staying upright. Cruz swarmed him, left hook, right hook, uppercut, each punch landing flush, each one pushing Mattice closer to collapse. The referee stepped in, hovering like a shadow, watching Matisse's eyes fade with each blow. Mattice tried to fire back, swinging wildly, but Cruz's attack was too overwhelming, too violent, too precise. Another crushing right hand rocked Matisse's head backward, leaving him defenseless. Cruz unleashed a final barrage, punches raining down like a storm with no break. Matisse's body tilted forward, then sideways, his arms dropping, his legs about to give out. And before Cruz could land the last devastating shot, the referee jumped in, waving his hands, stopping the fight before Mattice took irreversible damage. The arena exploded in cheers as Isaac Pitbull Cruz raised his gloves in victory, his chest heaving from exertion but his expression calm, almost emotionless. Mattice sank into the ropes, battered but brave, his heart still strong even as his body failed him. Cruz walked to him, offering a respectful nod, acknowledging the warrior who refused to fall easily. It was over. The storm had finished its work.